All right, so this is good, and this is how I double check to make sure it is actually recording, because what you're seeing here is the actual signal or the actual data stream going into the recording program. So this is good confirmation that it is in fact recording the audio correctly. Okay, the screen recording part I never really have a problem with. All right, so next we'll start up the browser. I think I'm going to make one profile for each class that I teach, so this way I can keep track of the bookmarks and whatnot. All right, first thing, if you have not taken the class from me before, I do not use D2L, I use Moodle, and moodle.losreals.edu is the website. Just remember, instead of D2L, change it to Moodle, M-O-O-D-L-E, which is like noodle, except it starts with an M. Is that okay? If you have problem remember noodle, you can remember FSM or the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Okay, so once you remember the Flying Spaghetti Monster, I think you won't have any problem remembering noodle, and then from that you link to noodle. Noodle and then to Moodle. Sorry. I think in the end, everybody's going to type fsm.losreals.edu and say, why is it not there? What? All right, so from your perspective, when you sign in, you want to sign in with your W and then the 7-digit student ID, and it's going to be the same as your district ID, district password. So it's just like signing in into D2L. When you change your password, it's going to be changed here as well. But I'm going to use a different account, so that's why you see my username not being the W username. All right. So after you sign in, if you're already in the class on the roster, inside, under the list of my courses, you will find cisp440, Discrete Structure for Computer Science. It will also state, this is for spring 16, and the class code is 11812. Okay? If you're on wait list, you won't have access just yet. Okay? Any questions at this point? Okay, no questions? Alrighty, so we'll go into the class. On the side, what I'll do is I will say, but what if I'm adding to this class, I'm on waitlist, what do I do to get access to this class? Because I want everyone on waitlist to have access to the class material. I cannot add you all to the class today because I need to check with the dean. This class has 44 on roster and 20 on waitlist, and probably a few people who were not even on waitlist in the classroom right now. Okay, so in other words, it's enough to be split into 2 classes. And from my past experience, people in this class do not drop. One way or another, they make it to the end.
Do triumph or a body bag.
They still make it to the end in a body bag. Okay, so what I want to do is to show you how to do this. But if you're not enrolled yet, you can still have access to this class because you can add yourself to Moodle. So you sign into Moodle. I'm using incognito because otherwise the cookies will kind of mess up. So you want to sign in with your student ID. You do not need someone to create an account for you. So even if this is the first time to Moodle, it will create an account right away. And you just sign in and everything is good. Except in this case, if you're not enrolled in this class, it won't show up as My Courses under the My Courses list. So what you want to do is to search for this class and then manually enroll into this class. I'll show you exactly how to do that. So you click on all courses here. Go to CISP, and then from here you should be able to see CISP440. Click on this one. It will ask you for an enrollment key. The enrollment key to this class is Alan, all lowercase A-L-A-N. And what is significant about Alan? Alan Turing. Last semester it was Turing, so I decided this semester it's going to be Alan. Okay, so Alan is the enrollment key, all lowercase. ALAN. Click Enroll Me, and now you're in. You have access to the class material. You can do all the homework assignment. You can read all of the links. You can do just about everything that you can do as a normal student, except you won't be on roster yet. So if you want to be on roster, you still need to get a permission number. You still have to go through that process to add you to the class. But at least this way you can do all the homework and follow along with all the class material. Are there any questions at this point about how to get access to the class material? Questions? All right. Moving on. So you are seeing this is what you should be seeing as a student. And let me just kind of magnify a little bit because I think otherwise it's harder to read. The first thing you want to do is to do the interactive syllabus. Okay. So the interactive syllabus is really a syllabus, except it is broken up into questions. It is in the form of a quiz, but it doesn't count to your final grade. It really is just a form so that I can collect your, yes, I know about this, okay? And yes, I have read this. Yes, I clicked this too. Okay, so this is just me logging that you know how to access the syllabus, and presumably you would have read it as well. Is that okay? Okay, so we'll just kind of quickly go through the syllabus because it really is kind of long and boring, and I have to do it 4 times this semester because I'm teaching 4 classes. Okay, first part is just section information. It is information about this particular section. It's just copied and pasted from the schedule, so nothing really surprising here. The only part that is kind of interesting is it does have a prerequisite of CISP 360 and a Math 370 prerequisite. I have done all the checking already. I think all except for one person who are already enrolled in this class does not meet both of these prerequisite requirements. Okay, because the system also let me check whether you have taken classes that require one of these 2 as a prerequisite. It's an indirect check. So I have gone through the indirect check and make sure that most people in this class already, they're done with this. The co-requisite is CISP 430, which means you either have to be taking this in the same semester or have taken it already. That I cannot check. Okay, there's no way for me to check it in the system. The final exam date is May 17th, which is on the Tuesday, and the time is 5:45 to 7:45 p.m. This is just straight from the final schedule, okay, based on the start time of this class. This part here is not copied and pasted from the schedule. Usually you don't get to see this, but we are required to put this into the syllabus. So you are supposed to know what you are supposed to have learned from this class. Upon completion of this course, the student will be able to do a whole bunch of stuff, analyze how formal tools of symbolic logic are used to model real-life situations, blah, 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 blah. So they may not make a whole lot of sense at this point, but hopefully at the end of the semester, it will all start to make sense. So this is where I collect your quote-unquote initials, because you have to select one. This is the correct class and the correct section. I intend to stay in this class is one choice, and then the other choice is this is not the class that I want to be in. Please drop me if I'm already on roster. So I'm hoping from seeing that no one is leaving the classroom right now, I'm assuming most of you or all of you are in the right class. So you will have to answer each and every single one of these questions. The second part is about me. The most important part is my office hour, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 9. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's right before class, 1 hour before the class. So it's really good for this class because if you just come to campus a little bit early, you can go to my office hour and we can talk about stuff. My email address is drtag2016spring@gmail.com. This is a quick and easy way for me to separate email of students from one semester from another semester. Phone number is 484-8250, and the office is number 7 in Liberal Arts 133. I don't think I have to tell you guys where to find the building. Yes? No? Because I didn't see anyone transferring from another campus. And since you have taken all the prerequisite classes already, you probably know your way around the campus. But here's something that some of you may not remember. Today, you cannot smoke anymore on campus.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. Not bad.
I talked to one student at about 7:50 this morning about that. But the guy was really friendly. He said, "Oh, I forgot about it," and then he just turned around and walked toward the edge of the campus. So click I know how to contact the instructor. Presentation delivery methods. This is just saying what kind of material would I use for this class. It will include video clips. Video clips, reading material, and interactive activities. Like what you do on Moodle. This part is not true. Video clips do not include closed captioning. Well, I don't really do video clips. What I do is I record lectures. Okay, so when we are all here, this is recorded, but I do not record video clips separately for this class. So this really does not apply to this class. But it is on YouTube. I will show you guys how to find it. This part talks about regular effective contact. It's a big thing in terms of accreditation because they look for this sort of thing. With a face-to-face class, there's really not a whole lot to talk about. It's basically how do you contact me and stay in touch with the class. With a face-to-face class, it's not an issue. It's really about online classes because apparently some people, when they teach online classes, they just let the course run itself. Okay, you sign up for a class, you don't really talk to the instructor in any way, no actual communication. You do your homework, you finish your quizzes, you get your grade, and that's it. Okay, but the equivalent of doing no effective contact with a face-to-face class would be me not even looking at you when I talk. When you guys raise your hand and have questions, I completely ignore every single one who raised their hand. Okay, I find that hard to do. Okay, so I don't think this is going to be an issue, and as a result, I am not going to spend too much time to talk about this. You should still read it just to make sure that you know what it is about. In terms of online forums and stuff like that, if you want to have that available, I can turn it on. I can create forums on Moodle so that you guys can communicate using the online forum thing. But normally with a face-to-face class, I don't do that. But if you guys want to do it, I can do it. All right, time frame policy, give me 24 hours and so on and so forth. Etiquette policy, it really is just about, when you do, things on the forum or by email, there are certain things that you should do and there are certain things you should not do, that sort of thing. So I'm going to click I understand. First day of class or orientation. So for people who are watching this on YouTube but not actually in class, those people will be dropped. So by the time you are watching this,
it's too late.
It's too late. Yes.
The gavel has been dropped.
There we go. Accommodations. So this is important. So if you do have any type of a need for accommodation, you do not need to raise your hand in class and let me know. You just need to go to the DSPS office and get their forms so that I can be notified of the accommodation needed and have it done. Okay, but there's no need to raise your hand in class to do this. Okay, with that, moving on. Excessive absences. That is good because it reminds me to pass the roll sheet, and with a class this big, it's going to take a while. So I'm going to start with this side first.
I need a paper left.
So I do take roll when I remember to take roll. The policy, this is a district-wide policy. 6% or more absences is considered excessive. Now these are unexcused absences. If someone has an absence but is excused, it doesn't count to these 6%. So 6% or more unexcused absences is considered excessive, and the result of excessive absences is getting dropped. Okay, so I want to show you guys the calculations right there. Okay, so right here, let me see, where is my calculation? Right here, there we go. So this is a typical 54-hour full semester class because we have 3 units. Each class meeting is 80 minutes. So we have 80 minutes. So each class, okay, this is for each class is 2.47 of the entire semester. So the question is, how many classes can someone miss before being considered excessive or having too much absences? 3, that's right, okay? So the first one is okay, the second one is okay, the third one is not okay. Okay? So that's basically what this is. So the 6% of allowed absences is really for unexpected events that happen in life. For instance, your car broke down, okay, wouldn't start, okay, your battery is dead, your tire is leaking or something like that, okay, unexpected stuff that happens. It is not really for stuff that you can plan for, okay. And this statement here is something that it seems kind of harsh, but I really think that it should be talked about. If too much unexpected event, this is unexpected. Too much unexpected event happened in one semester. A better strategy is to retake the class because missing too many classes really is not a good thing. Like that. So, what is excused? There are 3 main categories. The first one is health. Okay, so if somebody is sick and has a doctor's note or a nurse's note, that is excused. But it has to have somebody's signing on it, so that it is not just, oh, I'm not feeling well that day. Okay, that's not enough. Okay, you have to get a doctor's note or a nurse's note. You can go to the health center on campus. If you so happen to be on campus when you feel not so good and you have to leave, you can go to the nurse's office and have the nurse in the health center to sign off the paperwork. Okay. For people who serve in the military, if you have any type of, how do you call those things when you're...
drill periods.
Okay, so if you're required, somewhere to practice, train, or on a mission, that's definitely excused. If you're on jury duty, you're also excused. Okay, are there any questions about the 3 categories of absences that are excused? Okay, here's a question. What if somebody was genuinely sick, let's say, and has missed 6 classes because of being sick? On top of that, that person also had to do training in terms of military stuff for another 2 or 3 classes. And then on top of that, that person was also on jury duty, and it's a murder case, it's a nationwide, kind of like a big case, and it took, a month, okay? So technically speaking, that person has everything excused, right?
That's the class.
What do you think that person should do?
Come back next semester.
And why? Because that person really does not have excessive unexcused absences. It's just absences, but they're all excused. Because it's too much. It really is too much.
Counselor can actually remove that if some weird thing happens like that. Like I've heard stories like that. Yeah.
So they can remove what?
They can remove that. Like
remove what?
Well, the F or whatever. Like let's say you just
okay.
Get rid of the
like
W.
the guy or girl or whatever. You can give him an F, but the counselors will remove that if they prove it.
Okay, so it doesn't show in the record. Okay. So circumstances, right? Okay, late policy for homework or quizzes and tests and stuff like that, it's easy. There's no late policy. Okay, you cannot turn in anything late. All right, there we go. Academic dishonesty. Okay, this is how I see academic dishonesty. It occurs when a student or participate in any activity to attempt, okay, this is the key word here, attempt to show possession of a level of competency, knowledge, or skill that the student or some other students do not possess. So that's it, okay? It's an attempt to show a level of competency, knowledge, or skill level that a person does not possess. Okay? So are there any questions about this particular qualification? So I guess no politician can really, take my classes and actually get through it. Yep.
So, scenario, if you were doing pretty bad on the first couple ones because you didn't quite get the material, but one subject came up that you really got and did very well, wouldn't that technically trigger this flag?
No, it won't, because you can improve your competency, knowledge, or skill level over the period of a semester. That is possible. It's still yours, right? Yeah. So it won't trigger this. I mean, it depends also, because it depends on whether I think that type of improvement is possible
Natural.
over a short period of time. There are cases where it would be a red flag. Okay, I know we are running out of time, but I do want to tell you stories, about this sort of thing. I had a student who transferred from another campus, which I would not name. This particular student got an A in cisp440 from that particular campus, not here. Okay, so there are only 3 other campuses, right? And 430 is not an easy class. Okay, some of you may enjoy that class, but the material is definitely not Mickey Mouse, not easy. Is that okay? Is that a fair statement for those of you who have taken cisp430? So anyone who has taken 430 must have a certain level of competency and knowledge related to the operation of computers. I'm not even talking about theory, like linked lists, trees, and whatnot. I'm just talking about how to use a computer. This particular student got an A in cisp430. Okay, and I thought, okay, that's okay. That's meeting the requirement of cisp360. At the end of the semester, this particular student could not follow the instruction to unzip a file in a Linux command line environment, even though all homework assignments throughout the semester require doing that. And it just puzzled me. What was even more puzzling was the homework assignment turned in by this particular student, and trust me, I checked, okay, did not match any homework assignment from any other student in the class. I was completely baffled because I do not reuse homework assignments. This cannot be coming from an earlier semester, okay? And yet it does not resemble any other student because it was so perfectly done that if I say, hey, if I were to do this homework assignment after this many years of experience and whatnot, I would have done it that way. So I was completely baffled until one day, this person gave me a form and said, hey, my tutor said, you need to sign this form. Oh, okay, let me take a look. The LRC says, we need to evaluate, tutors working for the LRC, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, paperwork. And then I suddenly noticed the name. It's like, hey, I know this guy. He's one of my best students. Yeah, that's why. But in that case, I would say that student actually fall into this category. Now, the only part that may be difficult to prove is this word here. Because that's a state of mind, okay? It's not something that can easily be proven. The person can say, oh, but I just went to the LRC for some help. I never really intended to show a possession of knowledge that I do not possess, but the tutor decided to do everything for me. It's all the tutor's fault, not my fault. Alrighty. So, the rest of this is really just looking at it from the bright side. So if you look at this, as the Vader side, this would be the Jedi side. So the Jedi side would look at academic integrity instead of dishonesty, and define that to be the grade of a. I just can't use this mouse. I'm going to put it away. This one doesn't have a cord that is long enough. Or is it stuck somewhere?
may have just clicked on start.
I kept telling them to give
There
me
you
a
go.
gaming mouse, and for some reason, Dr. Booth said, yeah, you don't need a gaming mouse. Why do you need like 7,000 DPI for teaching a class? I need to get into sniping mode and stuff. Okay, so from the other perspective, it is about integrity. So the grade of a particular assessment of a particular student reflects the academic performance of the student and only of the student who turned in the assessment at the time of the assessment, following all the rules of the assessment, as well as general rules already put into the syllabus, and only using resources that are permitted by the instructor. So that's kind of the other way of looking at things, saying that, okay, using all the restrictions as every other student, the grade is reflecting the ability of a particular student, of the student who turned in the work. So that's the other one. I bet you half the class have not read this one. It's the Guide to Student Rights and Responsibilities. It's good to read. I tell you, this is not about what the college can do to you. It's about what you can do, what rights you have on campus. So if you say, well, Tech said that I cheated, but I really did not, what do you do? Well, read this document. It will tell you exactly what to do, step by step, who to see, and stuff like that. Okay, so make sure you read this. It's going to be helpful not only in this class, but also your other classes. And I hope nobody reads this and say, wow, I should have read it a long time ago. Classroom behavior, usual stuff. So the only thing I really don't like is disruptive behavior. Because if somebody is disruptive, it interferes, how other people is taking this class. So I just want to make sure that nobody, is disruptive in this class. So these are just examples. The one most common disruptive behavior is just chatting. And most of the time, I don't think it is malicious. I don't think the person who's chatting or the people who are chatting intend to disrupt the class. It's just that they got a little question about what I just said. Okay, so I talk about something, I whip by the slides and stuff like that, and then somebody said, wait, I don't really quite get it. But instead of asking me, right at that point and just saying, slow down, I did not have enough time to write it down, or I did not quite understand what you just said, that person decided to go like, well, I'll just ask my next, the student who's next to me, okay? And that probably accounts for 80% of the chatting. It's just, I wanted clarification. Did he just say blah, 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 blah? So instead of asking the student next to you, just raise your hand and ask me instead. I can stop, slow down, and re-explain something. Is not a big deal. Okay? So that's chatting. Interrupting. If you have a question, raise your hand until I address you. So instead of just blurping out and go like, oh, blah, 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 just let me finish my sentence. Finish the topic that I'm talking about. Then I can stop and then go ahead and address your questions. Mobile devices, it happens to all of us, okay, including myself. So you just need to find a way to silence your phone during the class. Depending on which version of Android you have, I'm not sure about iOS, but the later versions of Android has a feature. If you go to settings and notifications, they actually you can implement certain rules to automatically turn off the ringer, and you can coincide that with your Google Calendars. So if you block off the time of this class in Google Calendars, your phone can look into your calendar and say, hey, you are not available during that time, and it will turn off the ringer for you. Okay? So I find it to be a really great feature. Okay? Before this version of Android, you will have to install an app to do it, but now Android can do it inside the operating system itself, and it's a great feature. After the schedule or after the appointment, it will turn the ringer back on again, so you don't have to worry about. But I usually don't remember to turn it back on. It will do it for you. Please do not drink or eat in the classroom. This is a policy for all the classrooms. Come to class on time. Walking in late distracts the class, especially when the class closes with a bang. If you watch the recording, you will hear the bang. Okay. Most of the time, when you're in class, you don't really hear that too often. But when you're watching the video, it shows really, really well. I don't know exactly why. Questions are welcome as long as they are related to the class and asked orderly. Even if it's remotely related to the class, it's still good. And some of you are kind of laughing because I digress sometimes, and I like the digressions. How to attend lectures? I'm not going to read this to you because it will sound like, guess what? A lecture. Okay, you're already in a lecture. You don't need a lecture in a lecture, right? So it really is just what I consider as good practices for myself. So you can read it. You can choose not to read it. You can choose to ignore that. So I'm just going to say I understand text recommendation. Doesn't mean you agree or will agree to do it. Okay, you just say that you understand. How to succeed in this class. This is a rather long section. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it really is long too. But I do want to tell you how I test students. Okay, how I make up my exams. I don't test whether you can remember anything because all the exams are open book and open notes. Okay, anything that is either handwritten or printed prior to the test, you can bring it. If you can find 20 books, okay, and you say, hey, these 20 books are really helpful in discrete structure, I want to bring all of those to class in my first exam, go ahead. Doesn't bother me at all. Okay? It is not about what you can remember. It is about what you understand and also what you can apply. Okay? So it's about it's okay, if you think about Lego pieces, okay, this is not about do you remember, is there a Lego piece of this configuration? I don't really need you to understand that, okay? You can have your reference material, okay? It is not about can you remember all the different colors of Lego pieces. It's not about that either. It's about whether you know how to connect the Lego pieces. When I say, okay, use Lego pieces to make something like this, okay, that has this type of properties or characteristic. That is what I'm testing. Okay? So the key to success in at least my classes is to make sure that you understand the material and make sure that you can also apply the concepts. Okay? It's not just understanding, it is also about the application of the concepts. I think on this campus, this is a rather long slide, I'm not going to read the whole thing. On this campus, I think there are programs to help people take a class or read material. So if someone feels, hey, I can use some help with knowing how to read textbook and stuff like that, there's help on campus. Grading standard. Okay, this is the fun part. Okay, so I'm going to change the order a little bit. I'm going to change the order by the percentages first. Okay, so in this class, the boundaries are 12.5%, 37.5, 62.5, 87.5 to earn a D, C, B, and A. Okay? And I think a lot of people, especially people who take my classes the first time, look at this and go like, wow, that's really easy. Well, turn around and ask someone who has actually taken my classes and ask them to see whether it is easy or not. Okay?
That's why the C range is so big.
Well, the C range is the same range as the other ranges. So it's not really easy because the way I look at the grades it's not percentage based. What I see in terms of grade, okay, this is a good example. You don't have to read it because I'm going to tell you how I look at the grades from the perspective of buying a hard drive with fries. Okay, so let's say you just bought a hard drive with fries. How will you assign a grade to that particular hard drive? Okay, so we'll start with F. Okay, F is easy. Well, you would think it's easy but it's not, because there's also D. So how do you differentiate between a D and an F? Not that it's really important, but for the discussion, we'll just separate those two grades. And F means you buy a drive, okay, you install it onto your computer, you turn on the power, not only does the drive not work at all as a hard drive, it causes a current issue. It fried your power supply, which in return fried your motherboard, which in return caused a fire, which burned down your house. That's an F. Not only did it not do what it is supposed to, it did worse than that. A D simply means you install the drive, it just did not work. Okay, it didn't connect, the computer did not recognize it, there's lots of vibration, and it just failed. Okay, or failed rather shortly. A C means you install the drive, it has the average amount of noise and vibration. The average of all the installed drive fail at the rated MTBF, or mean time between failure. Okay, so it's barely meeting your expectation. Okay, you look at the specs, you go like, well, I guess it's not below what I expect.
At least I'm not homeless. At least it didn't
Or
make me homeless.
sued by all other people who live in the same apartment complex. Yes. So a B means, now a B is good, okay? A B means you install the drive and it is quiet. It's quiet beyond your expectation with less than average vibration. The average of all the installed drive fail after the rated MTBF. So you might have one or two drive occasionally failing before the mean time between failure, but on the average they're better. Okay. And A means you install the drive and you are surprised by how quiet and stable it is, and not a single drive installed failed before the MTBF. So it's beyond your expectation. You cannot ask for anything better based on the specification. Is that okay? And I think I have another one based on workplace too. Maybe not. Well, you guys eventually, I'm hoping that most of you eventually will, or at least you intend to get a job, right? So if you, let's say you are a manager, okay? You are a manager and you are in charge of evaluating one of your employees, okay? But only using A, B, C, D, F. How would you assign these letter grades? But let's start with F. What type of employee deserves an F? But you have, remember, you have a D too, okay? So you have to differentiate between an F and a D.
Really loud vibrations and they burn down the store.
They
Pretty much the same thing,
They
right?
don't come to work and they steal office supplies.
Exactly. So not only do they not do what they're supposed to, they did something worse, right? Something that's even worse than not doing. Okay? So that's an F. A D means they're substandard, okay? They just didn't do what they're told to do, but they didn't do any additional damage. But would you let go of someone who's getting a D or an F as an employee?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that's the bottom line. Yes.
What am I supposed to sabotage over here to get an F?
The recorder.
Start poking stuff and see what happens.
You can ask questions in class and try to steer people from the right direction.
And unplug his mic. Crash.
And all the time pretending that you're a Jedi instead of a dark Sith. Yes. Because if you do it as a dark Sith, then you're doing what you're supposed to. And you'll still be okay. Okay, what about a C employee? An employee who get a C in evaluation. What would that person be? Who deserves a C as an employee?
He would be doing what you expect him to be doing.
Okay, but not much. Not any more than that.
Not well.
Not well, but not enough reason to get fired either.
Average employee.
Your average employee, kind of like, yeah, I don't have any reason to fire this person, but at the same time, I'm not impressed either. Okay. What about a B? You remember, you have to differentiate between a B and an A. Yep.
He does everything he's supposed to, but he does it very well. Doesn't necessarily go above and beyond and do extra stuff, but what he does well.
No reason to fire whatsoever, and a little bit beyond your expectation. Okay, but there's still, if you're really nitpicking, you can still say, well, you could have done this a little bit better. Okay, what about an A? Yeah, what type of employee deserves an A?
They bring coffee for you every day.
Well,
Without adding something in the coffee.
that is supposed to be.
Because that would be an F. Okay, so an A employee is something you're just so impressed that it's like, I wish all employees are like this. Okay, that's an A student. That's an A employee, I should say. Okay? So that's how I assign the grades, and this is how I grade exam questions also. So based on the answer, I will basically assign a grade of A, B, C, D, F for the questions, but I'll use the same scale. And that's why I don't need the 60% of filler as other classes, because every single individual question is graded based on A, B, C, D, F. Is that okay? All right. But you do want to remember how the grade points break, just so that you don't get a heart attack after the first exam, which most people do. Yeah, most people look at it like, I got a 45%, I'm dead in this class. No, that's a C, you're doing okay. Or some people get like a 60% or 62%, and they think that, I'm failing this class, I'm getting a D, because with most other classes, you get a 62.5%, you get a D, right? Well, with this class, a 62.5% is, you're right between a B and a C, okay? But you're doing okay. All right, this is the schedule or tentative schedule of this class. We will talk about functions, relations, and the beginning dates and stuff like that. I usually don't really follow this, okay? But it's a good, roadmap, as they say. All right, so when you're done with this, you click next. It will tell you, I left 2 unanswered. Go back to the attempt. Okay, because it's important that you answer all the questions. I think I missed a few. What? No, not this one.
Right there, it was just missed.
What?
Go back.
No.
Those
No, these are just bubbles. Good try.
There's fake answers built in.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, there's one. There's one more.
Oh, passed it. No.
No,
that's not.
That was good.
This is long. Maybe it's probably this one. No.
Perhaps the next.
Yep,
Yeah.
this one. I think that's it.
Yeah, there was only 2.
There were only 2. Okay, let's try it again. Answered. Okay, hit submit all and finish. It won't tell you the grade. I think it does actually. But basically, this is what you need to do to get access to the rest of the material. This is how I make sure everybody at least acknowledge, click, and have it logged by the Moodle system that they have read the syllabus. Now we can get into course intro, course introduction. Let's see, what time is it now? Yeah, we got about half an hour left. No, 40 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with true, false, and stuff like that. And we'll start with Jack Nicholson in his movie, and he said, you can't handle the truth. So this class, if you watch the videos from the previous semester, it's all about true, false, okay? It's discrete mathematics. It's all about true and false. So the question is, why make a big deal out of this in this class? Okay, so there's a whole bunch of quotes about what is true and what is the definition of true and stuff like that. That's not really that important. The importance is, I'm just going to the part where it is useful. Okay, so this is a good part to start. All right, so the first thing is, I want to give you an example. Let me see where the example is. Okay, there we go. This is a good way to start it. There we go. So I'm just highlighting the sentence that I want to talk about. So there's a statement of, there is class today, okay? But a statement simply means it is stating something. But what it states can be true, it can be false as well. This is not an assertion. This is not saying that there really is class today. This is a statement just saying there's class today, but it may be true, it may be false. Is that okay? Because this is the premise of a lot of stuff that we will talk about, is a statement is not necessarily an assertion. It is simply something that can be true or false. Okay? We'll talk about logical operators. And, most of you should know about all the common operators already, so we can kind of skip a lot of that stuff. And we'll deal with inference a lot as well. So I'm going to skip a lot of this stuff here and just jump to the end here. So we'll talk about inference a lot. Inference means you are inferring something based on the observation or based on knowing that certain statements are true. You basically say, oh, if these things are true, that has to be true as well. Okay? Now that is interesting and also powerful, because this means there's no way you can know everything that is true because of inference. Okay, so this is an example. There are several examples, and some of you may not know this or may not know where it came from. For example, a brand of computer, ROAC, is sold only at Bimor. If Chuck comes to school with a ROAC computer, his classmates can infer from the fact that he has a ROAC computer that he or someone else bought it from Bimor, because it's an exclusive. Only Bimor stores have ROAC computers. Okay? Have you guys watched Chuck? No? Yes? Okay. Yeah, this is from the TV series, Chuck. If you have not, watch, it's kind of fun. It's a good series to watch, especially for people in this class. So here's another one. If Jack is severely allergic to dairy products, okay, but yet he walks into classroom today without any issues, what can you infer? Well, the inference, or what you can infer, is he has not been exposed to dairy products for at least the past few hours.
Can you make that difference? It can't be that he took some medicine to alleviate the problem.
Oh, well, yeah, in the case of, you cannot use medication to mitigate dairy allergies. Trust me. I don't have dairy allergies, but I know people who do, and they have to walk around with a backpack with a syringe. So I'm not really quite sure the name of the medication, but if they're in a seizure because of that, sorry? Okay, so they have to be like stabbed with a needle and to get themselves saved, and they have to carry a backpack all the time because it can happen at any moment. Okay, so this is the first introduction to this class. And this one I think is even more fun, and I'll talk about why it is the case. All right. Most of you know this class is a math class coming into this classroom, right? And I will bet at least 20% of people in this classroom think, I don't need to know that much math to program.
False.
False. So why do I have to go to a class and study, all kinds of stuff that I would not be able to use, okay, or that does not apply to me? And there are people in industry who I'm pretty sure have not taken this class. Okay, I'm pretty sure people on this list have not taken a class like this or have not passed a class like this. And yet they're hugely successful. Well, with the last one, maybe not. But they're hugely successful for the most part. Even though they may not be, the last one may not be a computer scientist, still has a lot of money, right? So from that perspective, they're still successful. So why do you have to understand so much math in this class? It doesn't seem necessary at all. What do you think?
They don't know it, so we need to know it.
Somebody has to do it, right? Well, let's see. The first thing, hold on a second here. What does math have to do with bugs and vulnerabilities? What do you think? Well, you can read really fast, or you can just kind of think about, why does it matter? So go ahead.
One miscalculation could destroy the entire program you're making, so you gotta make sure.
Or Mars probe, yes. Well, that was not actually. That was a unit, conversion unit.
That was a human error, yeah.
Well, if you don't understand what you're working with, you could put in the improper equation into the program, we get something completely different than what you.
Okay, so you're definitely on track right there. Okay, but it's not just the equation thing. Okay, if you look up, what is a vulnerability? It is basically a weakness. Okay, it's a problem with a particular program that allows something to happen that is undesirable. Okay, and it's not just the program crashing either. It usually leads to security issues. So if you look at, let's see if I can find one particular one. Okay, that should find something. Plenty. Excellent. Okay, so the question is, let's pick something that has a high score. And say, what is this particular one? Okay, there we go. I'm just magnifying here so we can read a little better. Okay, so this particular one allows remote attackers to gain privileges via a crafted path name and in an executable file, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's allowing someone to do something that that person is not supposed to be able to do. Why? How can someone attack a computer and be able to gain privileges when that user is not supposed to be able to do it? What is the source? What is the root of these problems?
Hacker.
Well, the hackers are the ones who discover these problems and exploit it. So the problem has to pre-exist before the hackers attempted to make use of it. Yep.
A lot of security is based off of cryptography, which is pure math.
Okay, cryptography is definitely one. Yep. But a lot of times these are not related to cryptography. What are they related to? Yes, sir.
Is it like an issue with testing methods?
Say again?
An issue with testing methods?
Ah, very good. Okay, that's leading somewhere. Testing methods. Okay, but testing methods is a way to discover issues. So how did the issues get into Windows or Linux or some other program to begin with?
Poor design.
Poor design. Very good. Okay, that is it. Poor design. Now, because you're already in this class, most of you should know this function already. strcpy. Okay. Bad news, right? Why is it bad news? Doesn't check the string length. Okay. So that means the destination, if the destination only has, let's say, 256 bytes allocated, but the source is a string that has 1,000 bytes, what's going to happen? It will keep going, right? It will overwrite the allocated portion, which only has 256 bytes. And what happens to the other bytes?
Yeah.
It will keep going, right?
Yeah.
But what is it overwriting? That means you have to take CISP 310.
Oh, well, that's why you do that, you're right. Actually,
It's overwriting something that is important, okay? It's overwriting parts of the stack, which can be saved registers, can be parameters, return addresses, and so on. Now, by crafting what those extra bytes are, now you can trick the program to continue execution somewhere else. Okay? That's how these exploitations take place. Is somebody was careless to use a function that is not secure, that has a potential of overwriting certain areas in your program. Okay? But if everybody plays by the rule, okay, it's not an issue. It's an issue if someone intentionally decides to break the rules. Okay? So let's just say that in this case, crafted path name. Okay, so what does it mean, crafted path name? So maybe there is a standard, okay, in Windows that a path name cannot exceed, or one segment, okay, the name of a directory cannot exceed a certain number of characters. So for illustration purposes, let's say it's 256 characters. Okay? So what if you intentionally craft something that has a path name that exceeds that much?
You're overriding some of the stuff.
Well, if the program was properly written, it would be checked, right? It would be checked and be rejected and say, hey, you did not play by the rules. I'm not going to play with you. But what if that is not checked, and somebody decided to use a string copy to copy that part of the path to a temporary variable to be processed? Then you get, what I just said happened, right? You get portions of the memory of the computer overwritten, and by crafting how you overwrite that portion, you can potentially trick the program to do something that it's not supposed to. In this case, you can gain privileges when you're not supposed to. Are we doing okay so far with these concepts? Okay. But getting back to this class, what does it have anything to do with math? It has to do with string copy, not with math. What do you think?
Can you make it prove that you're going to have a function that doesn't have vulnerability?
Exactly. If you can specify a program mathematically and say that if we have input like this, we should have output like this, okay? And in the specification, you can say packets, path names, and stuff input that does not conform to the expected input should be thrown away. You can specify that as the behavior of the program. Now, if you can prove your program can handle each and every single one of these cases where the invalid input will be treated properly, like ignored or thrown out and stuff like that, then your program is not going to have bugs that we just talked about. It would not have security holes that we just talked about. Is that making any sense? Well, we can do this. We can test your programs, right? But testing a program is not going to work. So imagine that you have I'm going to use two colors. I'm not going to fill out the whole color here. So imagine you have a cardboard that is entirely blue, okay? Which is representing all the cases that you can throw at a program, okay? All the possible inputs that you can throw at a program, valid, invalid, and so on, okay? And the red dots represent cases where it does not handle it correctly. And there can be just a few spots, okay? Now, if you can look at the entire thing, have visibility to the whole thing, you can spot out the red ones quite easily and change the program to fix it. But you don't, okay? So now imagine that you have a veil or something to cover up this entire cardboard, okay? And the only way you can test whether there's a red spot or not is to throw a dart at this thing and then see if there's a red spot, where the dart punctures the veil. Is that okay?
You need a lot.
And I give you 5 darts. That is the likelihood of you finding a problem by test cases, because you can only throw so many test cases at a program. Okay? Is that making any sense?
Yeah.
All right. So, given this is the problem, and it relates to computer security and all kinds of stuff like that, how do we solve this problem? Okay. Ideally speaking, how do we want to solve this problem?
We have to go define the input.
Okay, you can define the input, you can define the proper output, and then what do you do? Check against it. Okay, so what we have here is the input to a program. So this is your program. This is the input. This is the output. All right. So you want to have a way to describe mathematically what is the input to your program. Are there any restrictions? Are there anything that you can tell me about the input properties? You tell me what is the property of the output in relationship to the input. Okay? The difficult part is to prove that your program will make it happen, step by step. Now, if you can mathematically, step by step, go through the program and prove that given an input that can be described in a mathematical equation like this, the output will have this particular property, then you can detect problems and not throw a single test case at it, because you are mathematically proving that your program works or does not work. Yep?
To stick with your example, so like, for for that, wouldn't they just have to say that string copy takes the input and it's some constant size, or like it's just some size, and that the output should never exceed that like size?
Right. The proper output of the program is, if you do not overwrite bytes that are not allocated in an array. And string copy cannot guarantee it. Yep. So that's the problem. Okay, how do you go from here, which is a description of the input? This is the actual program that you have written. This is the mathematical description of the output that is based on the input. How can you prove that this is true after the program is done with the input? This is the holy grail. It cannot be done practically, but this is the holy grail. It's called code verification. So for those of you who are interested, it's called code verification. And it is important to understand, that people want to do this, and it is kind of important. I can tell you a few other things that are related to this class. Well, not to this class, but related to mathematics or abstract concepts, and why it is related to your job as a game programmer. Well, I'm sorry I pick on your game programmers because they tend to ask these questions the most. Okay. So let's just say that, with a particular game company, they wanted to do a particular AI engine. And you just sat down and go like, hey, I know how to do this. I can make my AI engine this way, and it will be able to do certain things. Okay, good. And then you apply that concept in an actual game, and it just hangs up the whole system. Okay? The boss says, well, you're fired. That would be a D, right? You didn't burn down the company, but yet the program did not work the way it's supposed to. So what are you going to do? Well, this is not in this class, okay? But it is mathematics. There are certain concepts in computer science, and one is called NP completeness. It's about complexity. It's about how much time a particular algorithm needs to run in relationship to the size of the input. If you can prove to your boss and say that the problem that you want me to solve is NP complete, and then you do not have an algorithm that can finish in a timely fashion, your boss has no reason to fire you, because nobody has ever discovered an algorithm that can solve an NP complete problem in a timely fashion. In other words, your boss can fire you, but the next employee being able to do it is none also. So there's no reason to fire you, because you're no worse than the next employee. There's no one can solve these problems. So this is how kind of theoretical computational theory can save your job. Okay, all this boring stuff. Okay, if you understand why you're studying it, it can save your job. Not necessarily on really details, but if you just understand the basic concepts. Okay, that will be my phone.
You didn't set up your Google Calendar?
I did, so that means it's, well, actually, I set up my Google Calendar, but it's reminding me that I have another class starting in 20 minutes, which is kind of urgent, right?
So Google Calendar can interrupt itself still?
Apparently, yes. All right, so you do have one homework assignment. So this is a good time to get to the homework assignment. You're like, oh no, the first class we have homework assignment already? And the answer is yes, you do. And I can show you a little bit of how to do this. Okay, now this class is all about math. So instead of having 20 gazillion ways for you guys to enter your equations, some people turning in a scan of a napkin with your handwriting on it and stuff like that, I want you guys to use Math Jacks. Okay, this is a hyperlink. You can go to the website to find out what it is. So the homework assignment, in essence, is I want you to enter this bunch of stuff. Okay, if you don't understand what it is, don't worry about it. That's not what we are doing. I just want you to enter this, okay? So your homework assignment has to be shown to me on Moodle like this. Now there's help. Okay, I know you guys look at this and go like, well, can I just copy and paste the bitmap itself? The answer is no. Okay, that is not the point of the homework assignment. So what do we do? Well, first of all, remember this is looking at things from the perspective of a student, so this is exactly what you're seeing. So what you do is you click Add Submission, which will open up an HTML editor. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, now you see an HTML editor. So let me see which one it is. This is the right one. This is called the ATTO, A-T-T-O, okay? So you look at this and go like, well, it doesn't seem like it's going to be very helpful to enter equations. What do you think? Actually, this may be the wrong one. Yeah, this is the wrong one. Okay, so if this is the wrong one, or how you can find out which HTML editor you're using, is to go all the way to your name, click on it, go to Preferences. In Preferences, you will see Editor Preferences. Click that. And inside here, it will show you one of the 4 choices. Default is TinyMCE HTML editor, which is not the one that you want to use. Not that it cannot work, it just doesn't give you some of the tools that will make this transition easy. So if you want an easier transition, you want to go to ATTO HTML editor, save changes, and I can use my history to go back to the homework assignment and make sure I refresh, because I don't want to use the previous choice, because I want to use ATTO. And this one is ATTO. The difference is this little icon here, it looks like a square root of A. It's your equation editor. Now, for those of you who have used the equation editor in Microsoft Word, it's not really quite as fancy as that one, but it is okay. It works. So once you click it, it will give you kind of like a tool like this. You can look at operators, you can look at arrows, Greek symbols, and also advanced. And I'm pretty sure some of the symbols do not exist anywhere. Now you can see this one is in the homework assignment, right? Okay, so you can click it. So when you click it, it will do 2 things, okay, simultaneously. The first thing it does is it will type in the code for you. This is your \for all, okay? It will also give you a preview of what the equation looks like at the bottom, right here. So this way, it is interactive. You can basically, specify your equation in an interactive mode. Is that okay? And you can just type things as usual. You can say for all. You can go back here, and for things that are not special, you can just type it. You can say for all f, okay, for function, and you can open paren. You can see how the bottom part here is just interactive. You can specify there exists x, okay, and you can find other symbols that you need also. Let's see. Okay, I think this one is also in the homework assignment. Okay, so you can see that once I click this symbol, it types in \in, but you can also see the preview will now have this. But there is one symbol that cannot be found here. I made sure. Okay, so what you need to do is to read ahead of me a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to find out how to do that. So you scroll all the way. Okay, let me just kind of click close to the equation editor. I didn't put it here. Now the other thing you can also do is, if you already know the code, you can just type it here, for all, f, open paren, exists, e, in, blah, blah, blah. So you can just type it. When you click Save Changes, it will show you what you have just typed. Oh, okay, but not x. It doesn't go through the conversion. I will have to think about this a little bit. I'm not sure what it looks like when I'm grading it, so that's the bottom line. But getting back to the homework assignment first. So getting back to the homework assignment, okay, so go back to the class, and you can go to the next section, which is this one here. And you can read through this stuff here. one of these has the symbol that we need. There we go. Okay, do you see the Z that we need? It's right here. Some of you think, I can just copy and paste it, except you cannot click it. See, you cannot click and select it. So if you cannot click, what do? What is the next thing you do if you cannot click something?
Figure out how to
No.
Right-click and
Right click. If you cannot click it, right click it. Okay, so right click gives you a menu. And you can say show math as math ML code, which is kind of cool. Okay, wow, cool, fine. Not what I need though. You can try the next one, which is tech command. Okay, TX is not text because this is technically tau epsilon chi in Greek, so it's not actually TEX. Now you actually see something that may be useful, because what it shows you is the actual code. Okay, I can't. Let me see if I can magnify this. I can. Okay, that's good. Because what it is showing you is exactly how this text is entered using the command that we were talking about earlier. Okay, I'm not going to point out which part is what you need because it seems kind of obvious, but this is how you learn how to use tech, okay, or how to use MathJax. Are there any questions about this? Okay, so let's just say that there's no way for you to preview after you have entered your equation. What do? Well, what you do is you copy and paste the code that you have entered, and then you just go to MathJax Previewer, or Math. There are many websites that can do it. This is one. Just paste it here, and it doesn't do that.
Throw more money at it.
Something interesting happened for a second.
Okay, let me try it step by step now. Nope, it doesn't do it. The first link doesn't work. Okay, go to the MathJax website. Try a live demo. There we go. Okay, wait, read the documentation. Type text in the box below, includes some math as mathml, wrap text in dollar or dollar delimiters. Okay, so there we go. RTFM works every time. Okay, so are you guys okay? I mean, do you guys know how to get your homework assignment started? Yep.
Is the MathJax, is that in the Moodle? Is there a link to that in Moodle?
Yeah, Moodle understands MathJax.
Okay.
Yep. From your perspective, it doesn't seem to display the actual math symbol, but it gives you the code instead.
Alright.
Yep.
So the homework is going to have dollar signs in it as well, right?
The
Just
homework?
clarify, yeah.
Okay, from your perspective, I think I know how to answer your questions. Just hold on 1 second. Let's go back to the homework assignment. All right, so I have already entered something here, and I forgot one thing that is actually important. And that I think that's why it did not show up, because Moodle doesn't really know where the math equation starts and what is regular text. Okay, so you need to enclose your math equation with something. You can do the dollar sign thing. That works in Moodle too. But if it is inline, you want to use / open paren and / close paren. That will enclose the section that should be a part of the math equation. Everything outside is not. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to give it a try like this. So this portion here should now be displayed in mathematical notation. This one will just be displayed as backslash for all because it is not inside the backslash open and close paren. So I click Save Changes. You can edit your submission as many times as you want before the due date, and you can see that it shows correctly now. So I just forgot to put in the open, backslash open and backslash close paren. Yep.
You said you choose between the parentheses or the dollar signs?
Yeah, double dollar sign works as well. The difference is if you use backslash open and backslash close, it is for inline stuff. So you can be writing something and have an equation in line with the rest of the text and then continue. Dollar sign,
the entire thing, basically.
it becomes its own thing. It's not a part, it's not inline anymore. But in this homework assignment, you can use either. Okay. Any other questions? So it does work, give you the correct preview. Any other questions? Yep, go ahead.
Are you going to be giving permission numbers today?
I will not be giving permission numbers today because I'm not sure how to do this. Because we technically have enough students to split into 2 classes, but I think the dean probably doesn't want to do that. So I have to check with the dean first. Any other questions? Yep.
Are you going to show us how to access this on YouTube? Remember how you're talking
Oh, right. YouTube. Yes. Gotta go to YouTube. Okay, so you go to YouTube, and the quickest way to go to my stuff is to include some profs in your URL. SOMEPROFS, some professors. Okay? So once you get to some profs, it's nothing fancy, it's just like this. Go to videos. When you click on the videos tab, it will show you all the recordings. There are multiple classes, but each class would have the date, which is year, month, and then day of month, and then the class code. So for this class, I'll be uploading later today. It will become 2016-0119 cisp440. Okay. So that's how you can find all the recordings.
And you have past videos as well, other 440 classes too?
Yes. So if you look back 1 year, so 2015-0120 or something like that, you should be able to find the older or recordings from the previous time. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no questions, go ahead and try to do the homework assignment. The homework is due in 1 week, okay? I don't think it will take you a week to get this one done, but you might forget to get it done. That's the problem.
Professor, so since I wanted to add the class, can I put my name down just as I'm in the end?
No, there's no need to do that.
Okay, so you said you're going to contact me.
I will check with the dean and see what he plans to do.